Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the back to the Back Row podcast. I'm here with Logan Connor. Jack Titzer is taking a pregame nap right now, so he's not going to be here. And we're here with the one and only Eli Augustine.
What up, bud?
GHS resident hockey player. He's a star, by the way, in case anybody didn't know. He is a star.
I mean, just imagine this Hosk on the skates in the rink,
Absolute
coming
unit.
right at you.
Absolute unit. So we have Augie here today to talk about the NHL season. Just started a week ago, maybe?
Week or two ago, yeah.
A week or two ago. Augie's a big hockey guy. Myself, also a fairly big hockey guy. So we brought him on to talk about the Chell. So Augie is a St. Louis Blues fan. I mean, some of our listeners
To
probably.
be honest, I'm in here and I don't even know what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
they don't even watch hockey, but Augie's a big hockey guy. Why don't you just give us a little rundown about your Blues and how they're looking so far and what you expect to see this season?
You know, I think it'll help to have Binnington back in playoff form. You know, if he can remain that consistent number one goaltender with, we don't have Villy backing us up anymore.
He's an animal.
He was an animal.
He was an animal.
Yizer playing got the swipe from us, but if we can have our number one goalie play like number one goalie all year, that'll help any team, but especially our team with our forward talent that we have going on, 4 lines at solid scoring opportunities. I think our biggest question is probably our blue line this year, with ever since Bouwmeester left, Parayko doesn't really have a really good babysitter anymore.
Nick Leddy's a babysitter?
Nick Leddy's not really the greatest Parayko babysitter in the world. So
Now to clarify,
That baby.
to clarify for Wyatt, I mean specifically, you referring to babysitter as his defensive pairing, I'm gonna assume.
defensive partner and be there when he loses his mind or
screws up.
starts.
When I think
screwing
of
up a bunch.
babysitter, I think of Josh Naylor
Josh Naylor.
against the
They
Yankees.
just got eliminated.
Rock the baby.
Against Garrett Cole after they lost. He absolutely shoved against them, by the way. Side
Yeah,
topic.
that's nice.
Oh, Will.
Yeah, Augie's a big Blues fan. Myself, a big Maple Leafs fan. Not the best in the playoffs, but hey, best team in the NHL last year in the regular season, if that counts for anything.
I'm gonna have to say it doesn't.
I wish it did, because the first round is our worst enemy. Typically, the Boston Bruins. It's tragic, honestly. I mean, when we continually put together probably the best offensive team in the NHL, I would say. I mean, probably a little bit of bias being a Leafs fan, but I think probably the best offense in the NHL. Defense is iffy, but I mean, last year, personally, I think Jack Campbell's top 5 goalies in the league. I think he's top 5 goalies in the league. I think he's top 5. With him, Austin Matthews, Nylander, Marner, all those guys, Tavares. I mean, even Morgan Riley back there in defense. I mean, pretty loaded team to get eliminated in the first round, in my opinion. Very upsetting. Last night, got a big win over the Dallas Stars. That was exciting. Crazy game. Win in overtime. Tied 2-2 at the end of regulation. I mean, I'm just hoping to have another really good season. I mean, that continually happens. And we continually do very, very well in the regular season, and then the postseason gets here, and it just is very, very underwhelming and extremely disappointing.
Yeah, I can understand where that's coming from. Being one of the best offensive units, but I don't think the Leafs are really built for playoff hockey. There's been a lot of talk around William Nylander. Comes back last year, puts together the season that everyone knew he could, but every so often there's that question of effort, right? There was a play last year during the playoffs. I think they were down a couple goals maybe, but he
Down
stopped.
4-2.
He stopped going after the puck. He just stopped, let the other guy have it.
I think it was against the Lightning in Game 6 or Game 7, down 4-2, and he just wasn't skating as hard. And that's really upsetting to see when you're first place in the division, second place in the NHL after the Avalanche, record-wise, on paper-wise. Probably overall. I mean, the Avalanche were crazy last year. You're the number 2 team in the NHL, top five total net team, and you just stop skating after the puck.
Yeah, and
What are you doing?
I've seen that talked about a lot of times. Maybe Nylander had 30 goals last year or something like that.
Close to there, yeah.
And I think 70 points, probably something close to that. But I've seen the talk was, what if you trade Nylander for a guy that maybe scores 20 goals and has maybe a total of 60 points instead of 70 or 80 points like Nylander had. But that's more geared for playoff hockey.
They just even the other night we were playing Arizona, and it was Tuesday night maybe. It was like it's so early in the season, and there's guys already like simple mistakes like turn the puck over, like making the bad pass, making the wrong pass. Like there's a open guy over here, and you pass over here to try and force in that goal. Like they're not letting plays develop, is what I feel. I mean, I'm not no hockey expert by any means, and I'm not trying to say I am, but when they don't let plays develop and they just like they try and go for like the quick goal. I mean, I understand that if it's in maybe a power play with a couple seconds left or like the end of the game when you need that goal, but when it's in the middle of the second period, it's like 15 minutes left in the period, and you're trying to score the quick goal and not let your plays develop. I mean, and Sheldon Keefe's he's a decent coach. I mean, he's not the best coach in the league by any means, but he's not the worst coach in the league. He'll draw up something decent. You just got to let it develop sometimes, I feel like. It's upsetting to see.
Yeah, and especially with all the Leafs' talent, it's definitely it's got to be hard to see him force plays because, like you said, one of the most talented offensive units in the league, right? If you just let your plays develop, your skill players are going to make a play for you.
And any single one of those guys, like on the ice at any given time, I would trust it to have the puck, to be shooting, like to be scoring. Like even like go to like our third, fourth line. Like I even trust I'm not even like any single one of those guys are out there. I feel confident in us scoring. Even with our defensive pairings, like Giordano may not be the most agile guy out there, but I mean, I'm still going to trust him. It's
listening to you guys talk about hockey is really confusing. It's like when you went to go talk to the French teacher. I thought you were spitting game at her, but actually you were just getting a student out of class.
We had to go get Augie out for his to come do this with us. And
I thought you were spitting game.
He's in French 1. I myself am in French 3. Slight flex. I went to go talk to Miss Gondola to Madame to pull him out of class, Madame, if you will. And I was
in my words, spitting game.
Spitting my French out,
You actually threw a couple rhymes in there. I heard that.
I did, yeah.
Just spitting bars.
He was spitting some shade at me too. He called me so at hockey. It kind of hurts.
All right, to go off of that, Augie, big game tomorrow. Big game tomorrow.
We're all gonna be there.
So we have Columbus
Columbus.
The whole squad is pulling up to watch Augie play. Augie, you want to just talk about your team a little bit? What position you play? What role you play on the team?
Last year, being a freshman on varsity, the only one.
Obviously,
it was obviously
slight flex.
It was hard at first because I went from playing 14U with like all my buddies, right? I knew everybody on that team. I'd been playing with them for the past. I don't really know how long it's been a while.
Since I don't know when.
But when I looked at the roster and I see everyone's name on one side that I know, and then I'm on a team and I just have no idea who anyone is, I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. I don't know anybody on the team, but being the freshman, being able to look up to like the juniors and seniors of the team, like the Charlie Danas, the Patricks, the Jay Cotts, the APs, the McGraws,
Greenwood resident, Aiden McGraw.
Dude, I'm sorry, but all of these last names are such hockey names, and I can't get over it. Like, if I look at the back of a hockey jersey and I see Dana,
I know that's a hockey player.
Yeah, like
that's
truly.
Funny.
McGraw, seriously?
2022 Greenwood grad, by the way.
Yeah, and AP, it was special, and for them to kind of take me under their wing like that.
How did you feel? Like when you see the roster come out, was that the first time you found out you had made varsity?
That was when I found out.
So how did you feel when you saw that? You saw that you were on varsity and all your other friends were on the JV team.
I really didn't know what to think. I was surprised. I was hoping to be at least double rostered on the varsity team. I think, that had just been a huge confidence boost in its own. But we had this defenseman who ended up playing AAA for the Fuel, who recommended the coach that I play on varsity, and he said, yeah, he'll be fine. He'll catch up halfway through the year. He'll probably be one of your better players for the next 3-4 years. So that made me feel pretty good.
So then you play you're a defenseman. So can you just kind of tell all those non-hockey people out there just
like me, just explain it to me.
Just kind of describe what your role is on the team and like what your main, like I guess you could say your main jobs are as playing defense.
So it's kind of hard to.
Don't let them score.
That's kind of the main. That's like what people think about when they think of. That's what people think about when they think of defense, right? But with me and Dana being on a pair,
oh yeah,
we allow ourselves to create most of our a lot of offense. So there has to be defensive responsibility, obviously, as a defenseman. That's your first job. But when you have the scoring touch of Dana, and the scoring touch of me, of course. I know I'm
Great.
trying not to be
2 goals in the season over against CIK, by the way.
only two in one game. Bound for more.
So, do you guys play like? Because I know we obviously don't have a hockey team, but what schools like here, like around here, that people would know do have hockey teams, like high school sanctioned hockey teams?
So Zionsville has a club team, but it's not just people from Zionsville. There's people from Zionsville, North Central, and I think there's a couple other schools that feed into them. I think the biggest one is probably Carmel.
I think I've heard of them.
I think Carmel has one kid, Ben Varela, who goes to Pike, who plays for Carmel. And they actually took a couple players off our hands. They took Mr. List of Grievances, Connor Inman, off our hands, which I'm not complaining whatsoever.
That's fine.
They took Sean from us. They didn't get put on our red team, so they asked for a transfer. And and Carmel took him out of the pool.
Yeah.
So
I know HSC also has a team.
HSC has a team. It's kids they go to Hamilton Southeastern and Fishers, and that's where the majority. I think that's where the majority of the kids go because Fishers obviously has the fuel tank. So
yeah, and then there's also Culver. Would you say they're probably the best team in the state, Culver?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to be the best team in the state when you're a private school where people go to your school to play hockey and play other sports.
Right.
It's really tough having Culver have a high school team that competes with, it's central Indiana, right?
Yeah, let's be real here.
It's central Indiana. Hockey is not we're not like Minnesota or anything like that. But
Minnesota,
especially just having one of the most highly touted, I think they're like top 20 in the country for private hockey schools.
Really?
Having them compete in your high school league, it's kind of unreal. It's kind of annoying, but
it's kind of like Indiana State football teams having to play against Center Grove the last couple of years.
Football.
That'd be a good comparison.
Top 10 in the nation. One more question here, Augie. What is probably your favorite thing about playing hockey? And then after that, why do you think we should have a hockey team here at Greenwood? Favorite thing and why you think we should have one?
So I think my favorite thing about hockey is that I'm able to get kind of lost when I play the game, right?
Yes,
I really don't have to think about anything else. Honestly, it can be used as a sort of a stress reliever sometimes.
Yeah.
It is very therapeutic. But there's so much you have to dial in as a hockey player. You have to be able to ice skate, which is already hard enough for a lot of people.
I can't skate.
Neither can I. I cannot skate.
Try to play a sport while ice skating.
Well, and it's crazy when they're you get laid out into the boards and you're literally on ice. You just got hammered by a 230 plus pound dude and you're on skates on ice. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
When you got kids like Thomas Haugo running you over in games against Carmel.
Yeah.
It does not feel good to get hit. Not only physically, but when you get laid out, everyone's like, "Oh,
everybody thinks
he just got killed." It's that kind of kills. You got to get up. You gotta especially knowing a lot of people on Carmel, they were all chirping me the rest of the game for it.
Yeah. And then last question: why do you think we should have a hockey team here, and what benefits would it bring?
Having a hockey team at Greenwood, just growing the game of hockey in the States and especially in Indiana. We don't have hardly anything here. We have the Indy Fuels, our biggest hockey team, and that's tier 3 professional. Yeah. So, just growing the game, getting more people exposed to it. I think I've talked to a couple of kids who they text me hey, I kind of want to try hockey. What would you recommend?
Dude, I would love to try hockey.
It'd be so much.
I would die, but
I love watching hockey. It's fast paced. It's complicated, but at the same time, just sit and watch it. It's fairly simple to just understand. You can sit down on your couch with your buddies and turn on, especially playoff hockey. Playoff hockey is my favorite playoffs out of any of the major sports, the 5 major sports in the U.S. NHL, NBA, MLB, NFL, and I'm missing one. There's one more. Is there? Or is there 4? Whatever it is.
The 4 major sports.
The 4 major sports. The NHL playoffs, easily my favorite playoffs to sit down and watch with the buddies. Friday night, you got a game on. Games. If it's games, let's say Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, unmatched vibes. It's insane.
Exactly.
We need one here.
Stick puck
need a
ice.
team
All
here.
you need.
It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, playoff hockey is definitely a different breed. I think the only atmosphere that probably compares to it is probably like few places in the NFL in the
Maybe.
playoffs. Like, you got the Kansas Cities, Buffalo's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
We definitely need to get a NHL team here, and I think it'd be really cool to get a high school team here, but that's a difficult challenge.
Yeah, and especially with us being like a smaller school, it'd be hard to rack together enough people to be able to form a team and be competitive with like schools like Center Grove.
Yeah, people like that.
Yeah.
Hockey, I think it's a great sport, and I don't play it, but I think everybody should watch it. I mean, hockey's awesome. It's awesome.
It's just an unmatched sport. I think there's so much that goes into it, and once you learn all about it, like,
it's addicting.
It is.
It really
there's definitely a learning curve to it, but like once you get in, there's like endless amounts of information you can like take in from games, and it makes for an interesting convo. Obviously, we've been talking about this for around 16 minutes now, so
yeah. All right. Well.
Yep. Well, that's probably gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna talk more next episode. You're gonna hear a lot more of it, buddy. So. Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. I'm here with Logan Connor, Eli Augustine, and myself, Wyatt Flowers. Thank you.